You're watching coverage you can count on. This is News Channel 15's News at 6.
Good evening. You spot them now on busy street corners all over Fort Wayne, and you wonder what to think. Is this a legitimate person in need or someone who just wants a handout?
We're talking about panhandling. It's definitely on the increase around Fort Wayne. We wondered, do their stories pan out? You wouldn't want to ask them, but we did. 15 Finds Out went undercover to learn who's behind the sign. News Channel 15's Adam Widener is here with more.
Photojournalist Ross Kinsey and I have been working on this for 2 months, and we'll be the first to tell you we don't have all the answers. But we did hear some interesting stories and discovered there is a community of panhandlers out there.
Really? Do guys make money in this town doing this?
I don't know. That's a great question. You can't miss them. Their signs grab your attention.
I'm just trying to get some of my rib money.
Their stories may tug at our hearts.
I lost my unemployment. I got a deteriorating spine.
They show up seemingly out of nowhere, and just as fast, they disappear. But when you hand over that heartfelt or guilt-felt donation, do you know where it's going?
I mean, it wasn't always this way.
At the end of November, 15 Finds Out began investigating Fort Wayne panhandlers.
Like check 1 2 1 2.
With an undercover camera nearby, we talked with 3 different panhandlers at random. I'm Adam. Hey, I'm Adam. Hey, I'm Adam, by the way. Then we waited and waited to see where they went. We met Derek outside the Kroger Marketplace on DuPont.
I lost my job, and I'm trying to keep a roof over my head. That, I got a little black Pomeranian I ain't trying to know. And then I got my son, I get on weekends, so I gotta have some place for him to come to.
We saw Derek take a smoke break and walk to a nearby gas station. Inside, a store clerk gave us his thoughts about this panhandler.
He comes in and buys cigarettes every once in a while, uses the restroom. He's always got a wad of bills in both pockets this big. I work for my money, and I think everybody should.
After several hours, we watched Derek hop a bus. He made a brief stop at the mall and eventually ended up walking down Wells Street. Hey, Derek. Where we confronted him. I'm actually Adam Widener with Channel 15. We're doing a story about panhandlers.
You follow me?
Might be some people say, why do you stand out there? Why do you stand out there instead of looking for a job? How would you answer that?
How would I live if I'm not out there doing that? I mean, I do go out and look for a job. I do look. I can't be out there every day, all day looking for a job. How am I gonna live? I mean, I want a job. I want a real job, but I do have some felonies, and it's hard for me to get a job.
Do you use the money that people give you to buy cigarettes?
No. Well, I mean, sometimes I don't. It's not all. That's, you know, I mean, about every other day I might buy a pack. But I mean, I'm not out here spending all my money on stupid stuff. I mean, none of it's really a lie.
Next up, we met Tim Sharp outside the Meyer on Lima Road. How's it going? His sign says homeless. He told us he lost his job at a local factory and will be heading to a local motel when he gets enough money to stay there.
I lost my unemployment, lose my place to live. I don't know where I'm going.
We caught Sharp taking a smoke break every couple of hours. After getting donations in the frigid January weather for about 5 hours, Sharp hopped a bus. We followed that bus down to Wells Street and confronted him as it appeared he was heading into a vacant building. His story?
Well, actually, I'm gonna go down the street down here and go to this one guy's house. I can't stay there, so I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
Do you use the money that you get for panhandling for cigarettes?
Yep. Yep. Gotta have a cigarette.
Sharp says he made about $50 panhandling that day. How long you been out here? Our final panhandler we saw in several locations. First at a shopping center near Coldwater and Washington Center.
Giuseppe Paolo.
After losing him there,
Oh, shoot.
we found him another day at a shopping center off Maysville Road.
Let's go do this.
What was your name?
Giuseppe Paolo.
His sign says he's disabled and we saw him limping. The reason?
About 10 years ago, I fell 63 feet off the Ferris wheel. And it completely messed my back.
I'm physically disabled. I can't work. I got a deteriorating spine, and I'm trying to get disability, but they've denied me 10 times so far.
Like the others, Giuseppe smokes. But what Giuseppe did next shocked us. He walked and walked and walked with no limp. We watched him walk 5 miles from Maysville Road to New Haven. After a couple hours there, he hopped a bus. We've been following this panhandler for a good 6 hours and headed south of downtown.
There he is.
Hey, Giuseppe. That's where we confronted him. Hey, I'm Adam Widener with Channel 15. How you doing?
JP.
We saw you buying cigarettes with the money that people gave you. How do you respond to that?
No, I don't buy cigarettes with money people give me. Okay, I do little odd jobs, brake changes, oil changes, to get money for my habits.
And you said you can't lift up to 10 pounds, as you told us, because
I'm
you're
not supposed to.
You're not supposed to, but you have that backpack on your back.
Yeah, the backpack's on my shoulders. I'm not actually lifting it. And it doesn't weigh very much. All that's in it right now are a couple of my kids' Christmas presents.
And then Giuseppe revealed to us a community of panhandlers.
In this summer, it's like 40, 50 new people come out. And like, I've got certain spots that I've been doing it for a year at. I consider those my spots. There's women out there that do it. They'll say they're pregnant and they're not pregnant. They'll say they're homeless and they're not homeless. There are people that will say they're vets and they're not really vets. And that's all for them to get more money. I know there's a kid that goes to Coldwater Walmart a lot. All he does with the money's buy spice. I actually seen one woman get out of a BMW and try to go sit down at Coldwater. I ran her off.
How many people are real, actually need the money, and how many people
I'd say about 5%.
Are real?
Yeah, I'd say about 5%.
So Giuseppe, how are people supposed to tell the difference?
They don't have to. They either believe you or not. If you guys think we're scamming, think we're scamming. Me, I could give a shit less. Because I will always survive.
Though your donations may be buying cigarettes, and there are reports of panhandlers getting into nice vehicles, it's not like any of our three left in a nice car or went to a fancy home. Still, we discovered your money isn't exactly going where you may think it should when giving to who's behind the sign.
Now I want to ask you not to draw any conclusions until you've seen our next two reports, tomorrow and Wednesday. Tomorrow night we explore what should you do, or how might you respond if you encounter a panhandler. That's tomorrow night on News Channel 15 at 6 o'clock. And Mark and Heather, all three panhandlers that we spoke with, said they made anywhere from $45 to $55 that day.
And that's standing outside in the cold for several hours.
Several hours. We saw them about anywhere from 3 to 6 hours out there.
Okay.
We'll look forward to parts 2 and 3 tomorrow. Thank you, Adam.
And still to come on.
You're watching coverage you can count on. This is News Channel 15's News at 6.
Good evening. Panhandling has become a way of life for a small but growing population around Fort Wayne. The question is what, if anything, to do about it.
Yeah, that is, what should you do about it? When you see a panhandler, do you give or do you drive by? How should we respond? 15 Finds Out reporter Adam Widener went out in search of that answer as a follow-up to our 2-month-long investigation into panhandling. Adam?
We told 3 different stories yesterday. Stories of panhandlers getting a buck or two or more here or there, and then disappearing as quickly as they appeared. But before you hand out another dollar, hear from 2 people who have first-hand experiences dealing with the life of the panhandler.
You follow me?
After following local panhandlers, 15 Finds Out discovered complex people who may be using your donations in a way you didn't expect.
Couldn't get away from drugs, couldn't stop drinking. Going to prison kind of helped me to flush out, to get clean.
Ken Wardley knows a thing or two about the panhandling lifestyle. He says in the past he's asked for change here and there, but had more friends that were deep into panhandling.
Probably 7 times out of 10 they're gonna buy alcohol or some kind of drugs with it, but you know, that doesn't negate their need.
Wardley is recently out of jail and staying in the rescue mission. He says the majority of the time there's more than meets the eye with panhandlers.
First comes the tragedies in your life, and then comes depression, and then comes the drugs, and then comes the need to panhandle to accommodate your need for the drugs, and it's a vicious cycle, you know.
I know that's happening more frequently here in Fort Wayne.
Sharon Gehrig works for the rescue mission. She strongly discourages giving money to panhandlers.
One of the things that we don't want to do is encourage individuals in their addiction issues. We want to make sure someone's improving their life, making their life better, and that they're actually focusing on their actual needs and not their wants.
It's a story all too familiar to Wardley, who says tragedy struck after his friend received donations panhandling.
He died in the river out here because he had panhandled that night. He had got his drugs, and there's some characters that weren't really good for him that he was involved with, and somehow he just ended up sleeping in the river.
15 Finds Out spotted many uncomfortable drivers around panhandlers, but the rescue mission says you can control those guilty or negative feelings with a prepared response. Give them food, direct them to a local organization, or just pay attention to them to find out what they really need. Gehrig says you'll quickly discover who really wants help and who wants a handout.
Hopefully it's something. Yeah. Here's some hot chocolate.
Awesome.
Hot chocolate will work.
It's that attention Wardley says is the first step to breaking a tragic cycle.
It sounds silly, but some people need you to take them by the hand, you know, and walk with them. You know what I'm saying? Because they just don't have what it takes to do it by themselves. We haven't all had parents in our lives. We haven't all had guidance. We haven't all had positive structure in our lives to usher us on to something good. So some people do need you to take them by the hand.
Now we've created a list of resources the rescue mission encourages you to use when helping panhandlers. Just click on the story on WANE.com to check them out. You'll want to tune in tomorrow for our next installment of Who's Behind the Sign. 15 Finds Out looks into Fort Wayne's panhandling laws. Hear if police and local lawmakers think something needs to change to slow this growing trend.
And we will talk to you then. Thanks, Adam.
The Fort Wayne Police Department.
You're watching coverage you can count on. This is News Channel 15's News at 6.
Good evening. Visit America's largest cities, and they are a common sight. Panhandlers begging for a handout.
There may be ordinances or regulations, or maybe not. What about Fort Wayne? Why are we seeing more panhandlers standing around busy intersections in Fort Wayne than in the past? News Channel 15's Adam Widener went looking for those answers. What's the law in Fort Wayne, Adam?
Well, that is a good question. What is the law in Fort Wayne? That's what we wanted to learn, and what, if anything, has changed. Well, it turns out something has changed, and it may be why finding panhandlers was so easy for photographer Ross Kinsey and me in our investigation.
We make do with what we have, but we are limited to this one city ordinance.
When it comes to panhandling,
I'm just trying to get some of my rib money.
the complaints have been piling up with Fort Wayne police.
Based on the complaints that we receive and the number of calls, it appears that it's bothersome to some of the citizens in Fort Wayne. If this activity is bothersome or troubling, then yes, we should have the proper tools so that the activity doesn't continue to occur.
Fort Wayne City Code currently says that no one can solicit donations from any public street, sidewalk, park strip, or median. But if you think that means panhandlers are in the wrong, it's a little more complicated. Much of the time they're standing on private property that is legal if they have permission. So if police, for example, get a complaint, they have to contact the property manager. By the time they do that, the panhandler could be gone.
A lot of times we really cannot do much about it, and that's why you will see it occurring over and over and over again in the same spot, even though you yourself may have called.
Hi, this is Adam Widener with News Channel 15.
15 Finds Out spoke with a couple of managers of properties where we spotted panhandlers. They didn't want to go on camera, but each said it's a topic no one has ever brought up to them. One told me she would kick a panhandler off her property. The other didn't think it was a big issue.
I've been here 2 hours, man. Really? You guys make money in this town doing this?
It hasn't always been this way in Fort Wayne. The city's begging ordinance used to make it illegal to beg anywhere in the city unless that person had a permit. From 2008 to 2010, there was only one soliciting citation issued for this type of action. But in 2010, City Council deemed its begging ordinance unconstitutional, a violation of the First Amendment. By a 7-1 vote, it was gone. That may be why we've seen an increase in panhandling the past couple years. Since then, Fort Wayne police issued 11 citations in 2011 and 21 in 2012, a 6-year high.
If it gets to the point where it starts to get out of hand, then I think that, there might be something that needs to be brought up.
But what defines out of hand?
It's like 40, 50 new people come out.
City Council President Tom Didier says he's open to looking at different panhandling restrictions, but he doesn't think panhandling is a big enough problem to change the current code.
I don't know if there's a law or an ordinance that you can bring forth to try and control something of that nature.
Ultimately, Didier thinks solving this problem shouldn't come down to government action, but a community who's willing to help.
There's always going to be poor, and there's always going to be people that are going to be, not going to have what they need, the necessities in life. And if we can help them along the way, some small token, then so be it. And I think that's what we should do as a society. Until people stop handing money to these panhandlers and giving them something other than that, it's going to continue.
Now, we mentioned other cities earlier. One example is Dayton, Ohio. Police require Dayton panhandlers to hold a permit. It's free, but it's still required. I can tell you Fort Wayne Council President Tom Didier actually laughed at that ordinance when I told him about it. Now, if you missed any of our series of reports on Fort Wayne panhandling, we have them all linked on the homepage on WANE.com.
Good job. Thanks.
Thank you.
Panhandling has become a way of life for a growing population here in Fort Wayne. That's why a month ago, a 15 Finds Out investigative reporter named Adam Widener unveiled the results of his 2-month-long investigation into panhandlers.
And today, the impact of this investigation is being felt on the street corners of Fort Wayne. News Channel 15's Adam Widener returns with the 15 Finds Out follow-up to Who's Behind the Sign.
Well, at the beginning of February, 15 Finds Out discovered when it comes to panhandlers, your donations may not be going exactly where you think. Well, we also discovered leaders at the rescue mission actually encourage you not to give money. So have you stopped giving? Has the handout business dried up? The story has definitely stirred up different opinions on a topic not many want to address. But since it aired, I discovered a growing awareness toward panhandlers.
You follow me?
15 Finds Out followed Derek in our investigation into 3 Fort Wayne panhandlers. At the time, we watched Derek take smoke breaks and heard how he bought cigarettes with donations.
No, I'm not following you.
On Wednesday, we discovered Derek once again, this time in a different location.
Did you see the story?
Oh, yeah.
What'd you think?
I don't think you really need to worry about tobacco. Tobacco ain't a big issue, really. It's drugs and alcohol you need to worry about.
Sharon Gehrig with the Fort Wayne Rescue Mission agrees givers need to worry about enabling addictions. Gehrig says she's seen changes after our stories aired.
Had many folks that have called or come by and say, no, I saw that story and I know better how to handle that situation now. It's been a big plus for our community, and just in seeing the need that's out there and maybe knowing a better way of handling those situations and helping actually meet their needs versus their wants. We want folks to change their lives. We want there to be transformation. We want them to be moving forward in their lives and not staying stuck, if you will, in one cycle.
It's a cycle Derek and many others have been in for a while.
How long do you plan on continuing?
Until I get a decent job, more than $7.25 an hour. Yeah. Around $9 to $10 an hour. Until I can get that, I have to do this. I'm getting by, but barely. I was actually doing a little bit better before, but I don't know.
Well, I hope people can help you with what you really need, Derek.
Thank you, Adam.
Derek told me that he's seen fewer cash donations since our story aired. Leaders at the rescue mission say that's not a bad thing. Money can enable addictions and that panhandling cycle. But the true solution is helping them get to a point where they don't need to ask for money. For a list of resources on how to do just that, click on the story on WANE.com. In Studio 15, Adam Widener, News Channel 15.